So, now, as your King of Kings, we've been doing basically an audit of what we've got on planet Earth, because this is our dominion, and there's a few very, very troubling spots. One of these troubling spots is the United States of America. Now, the United States claims it trusts in God. But it is the foremost merchant of death on this planet. That's how it makes its living. That's how it gets rich. And see, it's kind of a silly kind of rich, because what they're rich is they just print as much currency as they need and just pay the debts with that. I want board $20. You want board $20? Sure. Run in the kitchen, cook it up. Proof, here you go. Now, pay the interest on this. I want 1% or 3% or 5% of your earnings. With this. Funds. This value that I've given you. It's cost me nothing. I have no investment in it other than I'm allowed to represent and hold on to it for periods of time. But when I do that, I offsuck for myself as much as I possibly can. This is the province of government. The best case province of government that you've been able to collectively come up with yourselves on this planet the last 10,000 years. I get time frames and shit. Call Richard Dinkins. He's got rocks. He can tell you whatever you need to know. He's got Ouija happening in his rocks. It's all science. Anyway, so, like, this is a concerning thing. A very concerning thing. You have the highest level of sick people on Earth. You consume the most calories per capita of any population on Earth. And you're the most diseased, disoriented, and disturbed people on Earth. And you were once pioneers of freedom and justice. And now you are monsters. Biblically foretold monsters. Go, capitulate, kill it. Understand? Never in human history has been. Even Hitler gave the Jews some, all the police have to do is get a message or an email from your ex-girlfriend saying she thinks you're growing marijuana in your house. In the United States of America, land of the home of the free and the brave. At 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, police feel privileged to burst through your front door, back door, side door, and at the same time, after announcing themselves and perhaps a whisper if you're lucky, and rousing you to bed, dragging you to jail, or if you don't know it's the police and you attempt to fire back, get yourself and a few of them killed in process for 18 buck flags. This is not what you do to your own citizens. But this is what you're doing. Not even Hitler would never have treated the German people this way. That's it. What you've got going on now is a rat's nest of perverted, self-opinionated vampires trying to get more blood out of you, one way or another. Tell you any fucking story you need to hear. Oh, we got enemies. Oh, we got terrorists. George Bush and his daddy, and Dick Cheney, and that collection of motherfuckers blew up the World Trade Center. It was not some raghead from Dubai. There's none of those boys that have the skill to turn the security systems off the World Trade Center at night was the only time they could have put the thermite into the substructure. And how did they leave the substructure with no visible, not one single noticed issue, like installing that much thermite and that much steel columns? I'm sure they must have had to take some stuff out of somewhere, and they left not a trace sufficient to suck the metal to death, just burn it. That does not happen with jet fuel. That was a controlled demolition. And the planes had little lift. The planes had theatrical effect only. So people who died in that plane crash were basically pawns. Yeah. It's easy to get people hyper-inflated about an idea. Understand? And so religious extremists do this to their heart's content. And the U.S. monetary, military, and policing construct does it to its heart's content. It's basically people with nothing to do and nothing to add to life and no value in themselves. Seek to suck whatever you got out of you. Doesn't matter who you are. U.S. politicians don't have the courage to tell people the truth of what they're spending. Nobody really knows. Nobody knows what the value of the U.S. dollar is worth. Not even them. I'll tell you what it's worth. It's worth fucking zero. If I can go print out in my back shop and print 1 trillion of them, flood them in the market this afternoon, 1 trillion tomorrow, 1 trillion the day after, 10 trillion the next day, and 40 trillion the next day. Where's the value in those? And this is what's been happening for decades. And now that all those trillions, the American people are proud people. They pay their debts. They've got interest to pay on every dollar that's been printed since 1940, 38. Since the Federal Reserve System took a grip on the U.S. currency system officially. It was sort of an unofficial game prior to that, but it became official around that period of time. And, see, basically, bankers control your economy, and your presidents, and your arms manufacturers, everything else. It's the bankers, the lawyers, the bankers, and the arms guys, and politicians, and every motherfucker with a briefcase that's strutted this earth in the last 50 years. There's a treasonous bedbug. They see what is actually going on and say nothing. They see laws being perverted and whored with every day and enjoy it. Well, we don't. At all. Neither does God, and neither do most of the people on this planet. And so, we suggest that you begin the King's Barf. Because if you don't, we'll begin it for you. And you won't like that at all. Okay? Choose.